friends. Today I am going to talk about the Astanga Yoga method given by Maharishi Patanjali in his Yoga Sutras. The Astanga Yoga system is one that makes yoga unique, stand out among other sciences. Maharishi Patanjali has given a new dimension to yoga, a broad perspective, a 360-degree perspective to yoga through this Astanga Yoga uh, system of yoga. And what is this Astanga Yoga actually? This is the Astanga Yoga, the eightfold limb or the eightfold path of yoga. It is just not one path, one system, a system of simple physical exercises, but as we will see, it's a deep psychology, a deep discipline, a deep structure, a deep revelation of our mind, our body, our soul, our whole existence. And also, it contains the purpose, the real purpose of our life, which we should work towards. It's a process. Okay, it's not the ultimate product. Of course, there is a product which is the samadhi, but it's a process through which it goes. The Astanga Yoga system of yoga. So, the Maharishi Patanjali has given a beautiful dimension to yoga through this Astanga Yoga system of yoga. So, let us now see what are the contents of this Astanga Yoga system as given by Maharishi Patanjali. Maharishi Patanjali, the 8 limbs, let us first study. What are they? Maharishi Patanjali says Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. These are the eightfold limbs of yoga. Now, let us discuss the first two, Yama and Niyama. Okay, Maharishi Patanjali says this Yama, Niyama are universal in nature. They are applicable anywhere in the world, to any religion, to any person, to any caste, creed. So they run, they um, override the constraints of space, time, religion, caste, creed, or anything else. They are equally applicable to everyone. In fact, they are the spiritual values of the yoga. They can be called the foundation of yoga. And without Yama, the practice of Yama Niyama, uh, yoga cannot be said to be complete. It cannot have the strong foundation, the strong base that it has to have. Now, what are in this Yama Niyamas? So, if we see the Yama, there are 5 Yamas called Satya, Ahimsa, Brahmacharya, Astaya, Aparigraha. Now, what is Satya? Satya, of course, we know it's the truth. So, truth, why this Yama Niyama, we'll also understand the psychology behind it, the deeper inner significance of this, including this Yama Niyama in the whole Astanga yoga system of Maharishi Patanjali. Maharishi Patanjali at the very starting of his Yoga Sutra says Atha Yoga Anusasanam. So yoga is a discipline. Okay, and this discipline will be reflected in the whole process of the Yama Niyama, the 8 limbs of yoga. It will be reflected. Then he says Yoga's Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It removes the fluctuations of the mind. That means this is the goal of the, and what is the essential ingredient? The Anushasana is the essential ingredient, but what is the goal? Yogas chitta vritti nirodha. It removes the chitta vritti and helps us move towards samadhi. So gradually, but it's a process, as I said, step by step process. It's a, you can say in a way evolution. Okay, evolutionary change that occurs with us. So now, if you see Satya, Satya means truth. And why Satya is important? Because yes, there can be people who are compulsive liars who tell lies very frequently. But then why do they have to tell lies? It is said once you tell a lie, you have to tell 100 lies more to hide that lie. Okay, so uh, these lies become your habit, and then you are no more straightforward. Your mind is a complex entity. So yoga is all about the mind, clearing the mental clogging, the mental clearance. Okay, and unifying the mind with the buddhi with the atma. So very start we have to come up with this discipline, satya, truth, and integrate it in our life, to make our life simple, easy, and open. It should not have too much complexities. That's why satya, truth, is important. There's no harm telling the truth. Okay, it might have a little disadvantage, but it's all okay. It frees you in lot many ways. Okay, now satya is not only truth, it also means truth of our existence, truth of our life, that we are not this body, we are the soul. The body is subjected to, uh, will perish one day, but the soul never dies. Nainam chinnanti sastrani, as the Bhagavad Gita says, weapons cannot destroy it. Nainam dahati pavaka, uh, fire cannot burn it. Nainam kledyanti yati apo, nainam shoshyati maruta, water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it. Okay, and the Bhagavad Gita also says that the Atma is Nitya Sarvagata. It is always there, Nitya Sarvagata Sanatana, and it is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. It is Sat Chit Ananda Swarupa. So this Satya, that we are divine, we are the we are the um, we are God in ourselves. We are the Atman. We are not just simply this uh, matter, matter composed of muscles or nerve tissues, all these things. We are not just that. That is also a Satya. Now, but Satya should not be like that which harms others. Okay, that kind of Satya is also not correct. Now Maharishi Patanjali comes to the next Yama, that is called Ahimsa. Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, as it is said popularly in Jainism, and Mahatma Gandhi was a great practitioner of Ahimsa. Gautama Buddha was a great practitioner of Ahimsa. But Ahimsa can be of three kinds: Kaik, Vachik, Manasik. What is Kaik? That is through action. Vachik, Shabda. Manasik, through the mind. Okay, so these are the things we can cross Hinsa to others, and especially the Manasik type of Hinsa, the mental torture, mental agony that we cause to other is often more dangerous than even physical violence. So Maharishi Patanjali says, if we have the element of violence, we have the tendency to cause violence, to cause harm to others, then the first thing that it disturbs is you yourself. And in that condition, the seeds of yoga cannot be sown properly, because yoga is a state of bliss. Yoga is a state of perfect consciousness. And when those seeds of violence are there, when seeds of causing harms are there, then the seeds of yoga cannot properly sprout into your being. So the first thing we have to do is uproot that seeds of himsa from our body. That's why it is very important to practice ahimsa in our life. And ahimsa, which is impelled by love, is more important than ahimsa, which comes naturally to you because of your religion, because of your background, because of your uh, um, spiritual or any other background that you may have, or your um, family lineage, that kind of thing. So, ahimsa, when it is prompted by love, deep affection, uh, is far greater. And ahimsa is not a weakness, it is actually a strength. Okay, ahimsa is a strength, it is not cowardice. But if you see the Bhagavad Gita, in a battlefield, you should not be, this is not applicable, because there the karma yoga principles come. Okay, so that's a different chapter. But there also the principle of surrender is there. Okay, there the consideration that we are not causing any harm to the soul. We are surrendering all our things to the Almighty. So that is also in a way ahimsa. Now comes the third principle, Brahmacharya. Now, Brahmacharya, we are the objects, we get attracted to the world through the objects. Our senses get, the five senses uh, has a relation to objects. Sound, um, the ears get attracted to sound, the eyes get attracted to sight. Okay, so and so forth. So the senses are directly in relation, in respond to objects. Now Brahmacharya means controlling our senses, and one of the ways is cutting them away from their objects of um, you can say attraction, and that is how the mind can be controlled. So when the mind is always, the senses are always going through objects of it creates ripples in the mind, it creates disturbances in the mind. The mind manipulates, makes strategies, and all those kinds of things it will make. So the thing is to cut off uh, so that the ripples are not caused in the mind. So the senses have to be properly controlled, disciplined, and that's what Brahmacharya is. But another meaning of Brahmacharya is abiding in Brahmacharya. So, and abiding in Brahma means abiding in God. Okay, and once you are close to God, that is Brahmacharya. Because once you are close to God, you will not be close to the world, of course. So that is in a way Brahmacharya. Now, Brahmacharya is a discipline which cannot be had without disciplining the food. The food is an important component. So what we eat is very important. जैसा खाएंगे अन्न वैसा होगा मन, जैसे पिएगी पानी वैसी होगी वाणी. So the food we eat is an important component of Brahmacharya. So our Jain sadhus, they eat one time a day, they eat in their hands, they eat to the sattvic food. Okay, so and that nourishes our cell, that nourishes our mind, and a food should be cooked cooked in a healthy manner, with pure thoughts, with thoughts of divine, with the thoughts, with the name of the God. So first thing, we should offer our food to God, then it becomes prasada. So Brahmacharya, um, no doubt it's a very difficult thing, but it is very important when we want to discipline our mind, when we want that fluctuation in our mind should be lesser. So that is also the whole psychology is towards a mental discipline. As I said, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. The fluctuations of the mind mm, is stopping the fluctuation of the mind is yoga. Now, these are all processes that lead to that goal, stopping the fluctuation of the mind. So, we must understand the psychology behind this Yama Niyama. Then comes Astaya. Astaya is non stealing. When we steal objects of others, we'll have a guilty mind. Again, the fluctuation is arising in the mind. Again, we have to stop it. Astaya. Then comes Aparigraha. Aparigraha means non-possession, not possessing beyond what we require, what is essential for our life is Aparigraha. Aparigraha, you may have so much wealth, but then mm, it is said by Satya Sai Baba, lesser the load, better the journey. So the lesser load, more easier we make life, the simpler our life becomes, lesser are our troubles in our life. So aparigraha, not to hold too much, because that again create ripples in the mind, that again creates so much energy you have to control all that you have possessed, and then it creates a concern, it creates a conflict. Like people who have many lands, most of the disputes are about land. It When you fight a land, you have to go in the courts, you have to create a, it's a struggle. So why go into all those things? Aparigraha, the whole psychology is again about possessing less, possessing little or as much as you required, and in fact limiting your needs also. As Satya Sai Baba in his ceiling on desires has said, we must not waste time, we must not waste energy, we must not waste money, we must not waste food, we must not waste water. This is also a type of aparigraha. Then comes, we are going to the next Niyama. So Saucha. Shaucha is in a type of cleanliness. Cleanliness, what? Cleanliness can, we know about external cleanliness, we know cleanliness. During COVID times, we had to wash our hand, we had to wear the gloves. All those are part of cleanliness. Okay, medical cleanliness is there. All types of cleanliness can be there, which can be external. But here it also means internal cleansingness, the cleansingness of our mind, thought, our positivity, our our uh, um, mindset, the thoughts that arise in our mind, the feelings that we have. Okay, this is also part of Sauch. But in yoga, there is also concept of Shat Karmas. Shat Karmas means cleansing techniques. Like we can clean our nasal cleansing through Neti, through Jal Neti, Sutra Neti. Then we can cleanse our abdomen through Shanga Prakshalan. That's also a technique. We can do Kunjal Kriya. So that's also a cleansing technique. So those are internal cleansing technique, internal physical cleansing, and internal mental emotional cleansing. So that can also be considered as Socha. And then comes Santosha. Santosha is satisfaction. It doesn't mean we are satisfied with हमें रुक जाना चाहिए. It doesn't mean we stop where we are, but it means be happy. No, don't be always say I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not happy with my life. We're always creating again that agitation. So that stability, that mental stability is so essential for our mind, for our chitta vrittis. So santosha, being happy in whatever state you are, whatever enjoy, what wherever you are, and keep that mental discipline within you. Do not always create that ripples in the mind, that agitations in the mind, which is important. So that is santosha. Now comes swadhyaya. Swa-adhyaya. Swa means self, adhyaya means अध्ययन. सो स्व अध्याय, अपना अध्ययन करना, अपने सेल्फ का अंदर करना, अपने इंट्रोस्पेक्शन करना, अपने बारे में देखना, अपने आप को देखना. Picture yourself, not others. Often we see others, we find the faults with others. We don't see our own very faults. We see the faults of others very easily. So in this way, we will have to introspect whether I have satya, whether I have ahimsa, whether I have krodha, whether I have moha. We will introspect and we will just use the necessary means to correct ourselves. We will use meditation as a technique. We will use whatever is necessary. Swadhyaya. And swadhyaya also means reading books, reading scriptures, good scriptures, keeping the association of the learned, the keeping satsangati. That is also swadhyaya. And swadhyaya also means in Kali Yuga it is says chanting of the Harinam, Ramanam, or whatever Nam that pleases continuously. So because it's also a discipline. The moment we chant the Harinam, the moment we chant the Ramanama, we are keeping ourselves engaged. Our mind is given a task. So it's engaged into something, it's disciplined into something, it's given a task. So that again is a mind control technique. Okay, swadhyaya. Then comes tapas. Tapas is like austerity. Like the Jain sadhus eat once in a day. They don't eat pyaj, they don't eat lasans, onion or garlic. They don't eat outside food because they know that can create uh, the problems in the body. The body's problem will be reflected in the mind, and these vibrations are important. When we eat outside fish, we catch the vibrations are transferred to the food transfers that return on our body, and that creates problems in our body, in our mind. In modern medical science, it can be called viruses or bacteria, which are proliferating in a uh, uncleaned environment. So when we eat the food, that disturbs our body and the mind. So tapas means discipline, which again is an important tool for disciplining the mind. Then comes Ishwar Pranidhanaya. Ishwar Pranidhanaya means our brain is too short for handling our problems. We, Ishwar Pranidhanaya means surrendering to God. Whatever I do, I surrender. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, surrender to me, whatever you do, and do it for my sake. Ishwar Pranidhanaya. So don't take the total burden on your brain. Leave it to the Almighty, because the universe is bigger than you. The universe is bigger than your brain. Surrender your acts to the Almighty, your problems to the Almighty, your karmas to the Almighty. That is Ishwar Pranidhanaya, offering surrender to God. Okay, and surrender should be unconditional, it should not be conditional. Like Satya Sai Baba says about Draupadi, he says when Draupadi uh, called out while the Vastra Haran was happening, he called out to Krishna saying, O Gokulvasi, O Vrindavanvasi, but he did not come. And the reason was that Draupadi was still holding on to her pallu, and she was trying to save herself, and uh, but Krishna did not come. But when she said that, O Hridayavasi Krishna, and she even left the pallu, she surrendered to God completely, At that time it is said Krishna did not even delay a second and he immediately reached and saved, protected Draupadi. So Ishwar Pranidhanaya. And as you see, it's a mental discipline, all these things. Then comes Asana. Sri Patanjali says, Sthira Sukham Asanam. So asana is not that which is done with aggressiveness, which is done to show others that I can do asana. It is a process, Sthira Sukham Asana. It is coordinated with the breath. Movements are coordinated with the breath. There is um, a mental discipline. There is a flow. Okay. So Sthira Sukham Asanam, that which is steady, um, comfortable, that is called asana, sthira sukham asanam. And then Maharishi Patanjali says, dirghakalena, long term practice is long term practice, dirghakalena, naidantariya, um, continuous practice is needed. Dirghakalena, naidantariya, satkara sevito, with respect, with reverence it has to be done. The practice of asana, the yoga has to be done. Dirghakalena nairantariya satkar sevito dridda bhumi. So that is called asana and the discipline we should have. Then Maharishi Patanjali comes to uh, of course, asanas are very important for our musculoskeletal region, our external body, the blood flow. And when the blood flows properly, when the body is healthy, the mind is also healthy. When the body is disturbed, one of the um, one of the obstacles to yoga, Maharishi Patanjali says, is vyadi. So asana removes that vyadi, and so it removes that obstacles. Okay, so asana is very important because mind will not be happy if the body is not happy. So again, you see the mind connection comes. So mind has to be disciplined, mind to move towards a higher goal, to fix it in dhyana or samadhi, will need a healthy body. A healthy physical body is important. Then comes, you see, pranayama. Pranayama is the breath control. Okay, so uh, the breath is very important. There are various yogic techniques in yoga. So regulate the breath. When the breath is unsteady, the mind is also unsteady. Okay, um, so the breath, the yogic text says, has to be controlled gradually, like domestic animals are controlled gradually, step by step. Okay, in a disciplined manner, uh, and as we control the breath, our mind also comes into control. Various techniques like soham, there are vipassana, there are which helps in regulating the breath, the inward and outward flow of breath. We observe our breath and we observe the flow of the breath, and as we observe, the mind becomes cool, calm, and it gets integrated. And that is the first step. We are building our breath and the mind. We are moving towards dharana. Okay, the one point that will come to know that is the pranayama is the, and the breathing, as we said, when we are angry, our breath is fast. When we are calm, our breath is cool and calm. So the breath has to also be disciplined in yoga. Okay, then come pratyahara. Pratyahara is like going inside, not getting too attached to the world, not get too involved in worldly activities, because then discipline will not be possible. Again, the fluctuations, the states will always be continuous in the mind. The more the association, the more you will be thinking about the world, the more you will be thinking about the worldly problems. So, pratyahara. So, going inside, like a tortoise goes inside, pratyahara. Um, it doesn't mean that you do not have connection to the world, but it means regulating yourself from unnecessary connection, unnecessary association, unnecessary talks, unnecessary wastage of time. You have to uh, spend your energies in a correct manner, okay, so that it doesn't uh, unnecessarily disturbs your mind. So pratyahara. Then comes dharana. Dharana is a single pointed concentration. It can be on a external object, it can be on a internal object. When uh, externally, say a candle or a diya or any point or any object, you are constantly focusing on, um, uh, keeping your attention focused, that is dharana. Now, dharana can also be internal, say your third eye chakra here, your Vishuddhi chakra here, your heart chakra here, your Manipur chakra here. You can do dharana on several points in the body. You can do dharana on the Atma, thinking that you are not this body, you are the Atma. But in dharana, the important thing is that there is the object, there is a subject. There are two different things, and then it becomes dharana. There are two, but as we now, that is dharana, that it has to be done for a long term. Concentrate on a particular object, and keep observing that object, or it can be internal, external, and from dharana emerges dhyana, the long term process of dharana. Concentrating, you enter a state of dhyana when the object and the subject becomes one. When what you are meditating and you, the difference dissolves. Like salt, in dharana, the salt is different, the water is different. But in dhyana, the salt and water gets mixed together and they become one. So, that is the process of dhyana, where the object and the subject becomes one. When you become one with the object you are meditating upon. So, you are meditating on the Atma, you feel now that you have become the Atma. Okay, you lose your body consciousness itself. Now, so that is dhyana, uh, and um, that is a process where the mind has stilled, where the agitation, the conflicts, so many sanskaras have. Maharishi Patanjali says one of the important thing to rise over kleshas, over dukkhas, is the process of dhyana. But how? Again, long term. Dirghakalina